The title of this one is Our Body is Our Temple. So we're going to talk about mindfulness, we're going to talk about physical activity, we're going to talk about nutrition, maybe put some actionable items onto the last conversation we had. For me, what we started doing with food became this kind of interesting movement. Like, we cook with cannabis, obviously, you get faded, you get high, you have nice feelings from that. But when we started doing it, I started relearning our history and understanding our relationship, not just with the plant, but with food. Food is a very important part of our life, not just for the nutritional side, but on a wellness and overall kind of like mental and spiritual level. As you guys see, there's food everywhere here. Anytime there's a gathering, anytime people are around, we have food. So we kind of utilize that into what we do, and it's kind of like the art of social dining. So when we bring people together, we like everybody to kind of vibrate on the same level. So you'll hopefully see some of that tonight. So we're going to get into this conversation. First up, we got Michelle Mitchum, a holistic nutritionist. I'll let her kind of elaborate on what she does. Ladies first, you choose your seat. So if you could let everybody know kind of what you do, your background a little bit, why you're here.
Sure. My name is Michelle Mitchum. I'm a holistic nutritionist. I'm actually licensed as both clinical and holistic, but I practice more on the holistic side because I believe that, healing is a part of a full body, mind, and spirit experience completely. So this is why I chose to build my practice on the holistic scale, because I incorporate other, modalities in helping people reach their health goals.
And you don't look like the regular tree hugger that will be doing nutrition and holistic nutrition. So
Really?
A lot of the times we think of these things and we go, I don't know anybody, I don't relate to people.
Oh.
Right? And I think for everybody here, that hopefully will give us a good, start in that direction.
Yes.
And next up, we got Jacy, no last name. He's the movement artist. Hopefully some of y'all got to experience him in the morning, getting y'all the energy god right here.
Hello? Good. Yeah, I'm Jacy, no last name. But no, I'm a movement artist based out of Washington, D.C. And I don't know, man, my whole goal, actually, you know what? Fuck it, first of all, can we just all stand up right now? Fuck it, I mean, we might as well. I want you to just turn to your neighbor and just give him a hug. Just give him a hug. That's all. To your left and your right. To your left and your right. And your right.
Energy, man. Positive energy.
Hug it out.
Love it. Yes.
Get your hand out of my pocket.
So I use movement as a space for connection. I think that movement is very sacred, is very spiritual, to use the body that God gave us. So I basically try to tie in all the elements that I think help us heal and release whatever shit we have on our backs that we carry every single day, whatever trauma, whatever physical narrative, emotional narrative that we have. I just use movement to get through it. That's all. So that's my piece.
Let's kind of talk about that. So mindfulness, right? Self-awareness, self-care, all of these things. When did you kind of become mindful of taking care of yourself? Was it always that way for you?
Hell no. I think I was 17 years old. Now, mind you, my mother sent me to private school when I was 12. And growing up, I grew up in a super black home. Everything was very militant. We wore dashikis on the weekend. Everything was of that nature. So I grew up with a big consciousness on who I was from the inside out. But when I got to private school, I was like, holy shit, there's white people that exist in the world. And these are my friends now. I'm going to dinners and doing sleepovers, and I'm like, this is incredible. Who were they? And so it kind of twisted it for me, and I began to lose my identity for myself. I started to really question things about myself, question things about my culture, question things about my family. Because my family wasn't wealthy. The kids that I was around were very wealthy, and I became very confused. And so at 17 years old, I tried to end my life. I was in the hospital for a week and a half, 10 days. And I tried to commit suicide. And I was 17. I was at a boarding school, and I was balling. I was the best athlete in the school. But I still couldn't get over the hump of being identified and categorized so early in my life. I was like, damn, I didn't even know what all this was until I got to private school and realized that all these interconnections were kind of fueling me with some pain. I was like, why am I sad at 17? I'm balling. I got scholarship offers. I should be happy, but I wasn't happy because I didn't really feel comfortable in my own skin. So at 17, that was the first time I recognized that there was something over me that was producing that energy within me that was creating all this chaos. I was like, man, why do I feel so chaotic inside? But everything on the outside is good. My body's right. I got the six-pack that the girls like. Everything is right. But I still couldn't get over the hump of being categorized in my life. So that became an issue. So I got to college, it was the same thing. You know, I went to a PWI, like a big PWI, Miami, and I played ball for a year. I got kicked out, and then ended up going to Howard University in DC. And so I had to now reawaken all those things that I learned when I was early growing up, as a child. And it became like just a real journey for me of understanding cultural appropriation, understanding just all the things that make us unique as individuals, but also as unique as a culture of the humans. At the end of the day, we all exist as one fucking family. We're one family. We all come from the same seed. And so when I started to realize that, it planted seeds in me to produce a little more knowledge, start to acquire a little more knowledge, start to chase after things that actually made me feel good on the inside instead of just on the outside. So to make a long story short, man, like I have an emotional toolkit that I've equipped myself with over the last, I want to say, 10 years. You know, I've studied and gone through a lot of trauma to arrive to the place that I'm at now. You know, 6 months ago, I lost my oldest brother. And so I'm standing and sitting in front of you right now in the midst of a storm. I'm in my trauma right now, on the verge of tears every day. But it's okay, I'm gonna keep showing up because God keeps giving me a day. And these are the things that equip me, that help me get through every single moment and every single second that I may not like. I may not like everything that comes my way, but I will be happy for another day. Like, this is not guaranteed. None of this is. My brother didn't know that he was gonna pass. 46 years old of a heart attack. And I'm a trainer. He was overweight. Did I feel a little guilty? Yes. But did I have my toolkit with me to help me get through those feelings? Yes. And so all I want to do in my class and with my life is equip people with a toolkit that can help them get through the moments that they don't like. The moments when the light begins to dim and you're like, damn, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know if this is the right thing for me. Nah, man, it is the right thing for you. Every moment that I've had that has been at the bottom, I trust. I trust my bottoms is the same as my top. Like, I trust. And so I think that finding your place or finding yourself in these places is sometimes mysterious. You're like, man, what is happening in my life? That's the fucking most beautiful part. It's the mystery of it. I don't know what tomorrow might bring. No idea. No idea. So today, I'm gonna just make this the best day ever. That's my quote every single day. The best day ever. Today is the only day. Let's make this the best day we've ever had. Every single day. And if you do that over time, it creates a pattern of that habit. Now shit comes your way, you're like, I'm good. You smile right through it, I'm good. You laugh right through it. And that's what I've learned to do over the years. So a lot of what I've gathered as the toolkit in my life has been humor. You gotta laugh at shit. Life is funny. Even the bad moments, you're like, man, this is hilarious that I'm going through this right now. And you gotta laugh at it. It brings levity to the situation. It brings clarity to the situation. So I've gathered a lot of this stuff just from years of just going through shit, man, just living and not knowing the direction. But now, I think I got a little sight now, so I'm good.
Earlier, we were talking about breathing, right?
Yes.
Was that kind of your entry point into mindfulness, or how did you get on your path?
Yes. So, well, no, I won't. Yeah, I guess that's the first point of realizing that breath had power. I'm a scientist first, so I do understand the power of oxygen, and I understand how it works or what its job is when it enters our body. But from a metaphysical perspective, I didn't understand that until I would be hit with what we call a couple of bricks. You know, life just throws them at you sometimes. And you know, I would always feel better after I took a deep breath. And I think naturally, our natural response is to do that. But our mind gets in the way of it, and so sometimes we stop short. So I realized that I felt better. I was able to think clearly after, you know, having had the breath, and then I was able to decide how I'm going to deal with this brick. What am I going to do with it? And so that was my entry point into, okay, there's something a little more to breathing than just the biological aspect of it. And then, of course, well, not of course, but then I started my own health journey, which led me to the holistic side of my practice. I had an ailment that I was told couldn't be treated or it couldn't be cured or reversed. I was really young. And I'm from Brooklyn, born and raised with roots in South Carolina. So a lot of it is, so I grew up around chew sticks and backpacks and all of that. So this way of living that I've chosen as a career path is not necessarily foreign to me. A lot of the principles that I apply when I when I work with people are stuff that I learned culturally through my southern roots in South Carolina. My people are Gullah Geechee folks. And living in Brooklyn. So that is when I realized that I didn't trust medicine. Or the reason I didn't trust medicine is because I had this understanding. Now, just a little bit of background about my career. I'm a biologist by degree. I was supposed to go to medical school. I did not do that. I got a master's in public health. I worked in healthcare as an administrator. I've been around health for a very long time. I went to a science high school. Like, I lived and breathed the biological sciences for a long time. I got hit with this information. I was really young, and I knew the power of plant-based medicine. I just knew it. I mean, again, in Brooklyn, everybody literally, legitimately had a chew stick. There was power in the chew stick. Some people thought it was to brush your teeth. It had a whole lot of effects, but I
Thought it just looked cool.
I mean, for some, but it didn't. That's not where it doesn't come from looking cool. And so with that, I also, some of the way that my family would treat ailments when I was growing up. I mean, everything was, first of all, it was go to sleep. And I remember one time I hit my head so hard. I was like, if I go to sleep right now, I might not wake up. I have a concussion. Somebody needs to take me to the hospital. But my point in saying that is we didn't rely on conventional medicine for a lot. My grandmother had a lot of knowledge about plant-based herbs, and in her backyard she grew trees, and we used that to treat ourselves a lot of the time. So when I was diagnosed with this thing and I was told that I had to be on medication for the rest of my life, I was like, I don't believe you. And I had enough resources to discover where my condition had been treated successfully, and as luck would have it, it was in Asian medicine, and it was all herb-based. So that was my journey into understanding that, okay, there's really something to this. The plants have power as it relates to the human experience. And so with breathing and understanding, how nature works together to keep things healthy and whole was, how I discovered.
How many of you guys use breathing on a regular, do conscious breathing? Does anybody think of like so when I started, I call it my midlife tune-up last year. I turned 45 this year. I was 44 last. I was trying to figure out how to find that path and get centered again. And breath was what I found. And like I was telling them before, when you're born, the first thing you do is breathe in, and you kind of cry out. Last thing you do before you pass away is you breathe out. In between all of those, that is life. And a lot of the times we don't think of it that way. We don't recenter, recalibrate ourselves. We just kind of, especially in these fields that we're all in, we're constantly on a move. We're constantly trying to do more work. We're constantly trying to put, more money on the table, more money in the bank, feed our kids, our family, everybody else. And that self-care thing, we kind of throw out the window. But we have to do. I think somebody in the panel before said the same thing. You can't, if you don't think about yourself, how do you help anybody else? Right. And so finding that time and being mindful of that. And, again, we're in high stress. Just sitting down and taking some deep breaths sometimes can just change your whole day, your whole perspective and mindset in general.
Well, they say the cycle, I think it's a cycle of 9 breaths, power breaths, completely resets your body, but it has to be done back to back and really, really fast. And you almost go into a euphoric state when you do it. And you can feel yourself, once it's over, you can feel yourself just instant calm. And then nothing really, I won't say nothing matters, but nothing seems that serious. Nothing. And the truth is, it really isn't. At the end of the day, either it's going to work out or it's not, and you still have opportunity to do other things. It's always fine,
Jacy, you always talk about emotional hygiene. How do you kind of cleanse your emotional hygiene through physical activity?
Well, I mean, ever since I was a child, movement has been a part of my life. So I've always known that movement was a catalyst for a little more than they told us. They always tell you, just work out, And I'm like, what am I really working out? They call it a workout for a reason. What are you working out? There's a catalyst that provides for every single workout, every single movement that you make, that you go to the gym. There's a reason. You're going to fight to hit the heavy bag. There's a reason. You got to get some stress out. You had a bad day. Something happened to you. That's your response. So I always recognize that movement was way bigger than what we give it. It's way bigger. Like there's a spiritual essence to movement. That's why when you dance, you are actually releasing things. That's why when you go and you do silent disco or you go and you dance at a rave, yo, you leave there feeling better. I don't care what you took when you were there. You leave there feeling a better person. You're like, damn, man, I feel good tonight. I feel good tonight. Now imagine if you could do that every single day, just given this body. I just use this body as a canvas every day because I know that what's inside can easily be pushed out. I can get this stuff out physically. If I move and if I use this body in the right way that it wants to be used, the things that are like on me, the monkey on my back, it'll jump off eventually. If I keep moving, if I keep that a consistent practice in my life, it'll jump off. And it'll be easier to actually deal with all this emotional stress that we handle with just living, with just being artists and creatives. Like I'm a creative as well, and I deal with a lot of just, my mind just wanders in directions that I'm like, why did it go there? But there was a reason. And so I think we need to dig a little into why we move. You know, what is the catalyst that provides for the space and movement? I think movement is just, it's so big and it's so monumental to how we want to shift our days, our perspectives. It does so much for you. And that's why I'm a happy fucking person. I'm always smiling because I've moved every day. I don't take a day off. I just move every day, and I love that because this body is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's a miracle. Like literally, we are miracles walking around. Walking around, we're miracles. We are blessings to each other. And so I want my body to exist as a reflection of all the trauma as well, but also how we can turn that trauma into power. And movement is just it's huge for me, man. And I want it to be big for you guys as well. Seriously, get into it.
But my schedule is all over the place. I travel. My hours are different every day. My diet is different. I'm around different people. I'm in a hotel room. I'm in a studio. I'm at a playlist retreat.
I mean,
how do I do this? How do I be consistent but not beat myself up when I'm not consistent? How do I jump in and do little things every day to keep those things going?
You know, there's a difference between being committed and interested in something. When you're interested, you do it when it's convenient. You're like, I'll just work out tomorrow. Okay, cool. But when you're committed to living a life that you love, to being in a body and existing as a body that you fucking love, that you appreciate every single day, you're committed. There is no time for excuses. There's no time today. No, you get 10 minutes out, you get 5 minutes out, and you do that. There's such an enormous amount of time in our day. There's so many impactable moments that happen. I want one of those moments to be a little bit of sweat. For you to get 5 to 10 minutes in a day is very beautiful. And I do a practice every single day. The first thing I do outside of my bed is I work out 5 to 10 minutes on the ground. Do some push-ups. These are simple things that brothers in jail have been doing for years, and they come out like, man, how did you get so swole, boy? And it's not that hard, you know? It's just a decision and a choice that you make every single day to want to help this body just exist better. So when you create, you're not creating from a place of pain and trauma. You're creating from a place of power and joy. That's why I love what my man said about Pharrell. Like, Pharrell is amazing at what he does because he's a happy person. His music is happy. It just makes you want to dance. You just want to jump up and down. And so I want to exist as that in the energetic form. And I think movement provides for that space. Like, I'm only this happy because I know what it feels like to move. I sweat every single day, and I love it. I eat it up. And I want everyone in here to also love that feeling. Because once you get it, it's like a drug. You love it. You be like, oh, my God, I feel good today. I worked out, did 10 minutes. Then 10 minutes turned to 15. 15 turns to 20. Next thing you know, you're doing your own workouts. And you leading the way. So I went on tour 2 years ago with Mike Posner and his band and his crew, and it was very difficult to watch that life unfold. He was going through his trauma, his pain with losing his dad and everything, and I was right there as just a shoulder to lean upon. And I recognized that meditation, that eye gazing. You look in somebody's eyes and it's a connection there. I do it in my class. You look in someone's eyes and there is a connection. If you do it for longer than one or 2 minutes, man, y'all friends. You guys are connected. We are mirrors for each other. So I want us to always recognize that the person next to you is actually a mirror for you. Whatever you're going through, you may see it in them, and it will trigger you. And that's a beautiful release that we need to have every single day. And so movement for me is I just love it, man. I could talk about it all day long. I think it has provided so much for me. When I was down, I always recognized that when I move, like even inversion work for me over the past 2 years, Just getting upside down has changed everything for me. Sometimes I can't create, I get in a block, I get upside down, and next thing you know, I'm like, there it is, I see it. And so movement is just, it's such an access point for us for creativity and to further our creativity. So every day, just take 5 minutes out and just do something. I don't care if it's 5 squats. You've done something more than you did before. So just try to make that a habit every day, more so than going on your phone, or more so than, always thinking about what your next meal is. Think about what your next movement is.
See, I'm guilty of going, but 5 minutes? Is that enough? That ain't enough. I'm not gonna do that. Why do that? I'm just gonna go over here and do this. Anybody else do that? Like I'm always that type of person, right? but it's for real, and a lot of us don't want to admit that. But we'll push that to the side because we feel silly doing it. Our inner critic comes out and is like, nah, you think you're gonna get cut because you're doing 5 minutes? But like you said, if you keep building, that 5 will turn into 10, that 10 will turn into 20. You have to turn that into a want. You want to see these things. Like a lot of people go in the mindset of, I have to work out. Nah, you got another day. You get to work out. You're allowed another opportunity to work out, right?
I mean, it's a celebration for me. Like, I think every day should be a party, man. We get another day. 151,000 people die every single morning that you rise. So why not just be happy and grateful for the fact that you're alive and use this day that you have in front of you as a day to celebrate, and use your body as a way to celebrate. And that's why dancing to me is it's essential. That's why I'm in a room full of DJs and I'm loving it, because you guys make the music that I love most, the groove to and the work out to. Like, you can't do one without the other. I could not do my class without the music that you guys create. So we need each other. And so use me. Don't let me leave here without having asked me a question about what can you do better in your life from a movement standpoint. Please, please.
And so to follow up on that, so that's the movement, and then obviously what we put in our body matters.
Really,
right?
Yes, it matters a great.
But we're all different, right? Internally, we process things differently. We digest things differently sometimes, right? Some of us
The
are
processes are really-
allergic to certain things, or can't eat
processes
certain
are
things.
the same.
Blood types different.
Yeah, right.
So how do we figure out? I'm not going to dive into your world, but how do we figure out? How do we start for our individuals?
Well, it's to start from for a person who has somewhat of a nomadic lifestyle, meaning, you're not really, you're on a plane often, your career calls you away from home a lot, or you're not able to be sedentary for any extended periods of time. I strongly believe in the power of live enzymes and food energetics. So, the easiest way to try your best from a nutritional standpoint to maintain your health, if that is your life, is to eat live foods, meaning eat lots of raw vegetables and fruits. And it doesn't mean that that's the only thing you eat, but that's what will help you sustain your body, and given the type of lifestyle that you are living at that moment. Hydration is really, really important. It's not enough to just drink water. I mean, you want to drink coconut water for the, potassium. It helps to maintain water retention. All of these things are really important as it relates to cellular respiration. And through cellular respiration is when your cells regenerate themselves. And you would want to make sure that you're giving it live foods so that it can feed from and take the energy and the vibrance and the healthy, ness of a live cell and process it to become a part of your body. Your mood would be a lot different, first of all. I mean, it doesn't mean that you should never eat meat if that's what you're choosing to do, or you should never eat steak. But, just think a little deeply about what you're putting in your body. Do you want, a dead thing and you expect to be vibrant from something that's been dyed and charred, or do you expect to feel, excited, or you think the natural response to something that's vibrant and healthy would be that it would make that thing vibrant and healthy? So that would be my first recommendation to someone who's looking for a way to try and maintain the best they could their lives on the road. There's a lot of late nights for every drink. you have, if you have a drink, drink 2 glasses of water. The rule is drink 1 glass, but really drink 2 glasses of water and then top it off with, a half a cup of coconut water at the end of the night, just so that you don't dehydrate your cells. Because to maintain a healthy body, you would need, from the smallest point that I could identify at this moment, you would need healthy cells to do that. And the easiest way to maintain healthy cells is to feed it really good things and to make sure that it's hydrated.
So I'm going to decipher this. Jeff, we need a juice bar at next playlist retreat. And Ant or whoever's here. So, again, balance, right? How do we balance these lifestyles? How do we start to put these toolkits together for these people? Like, to me, that's the hardest thing. There's so much information out there. There's so many different diets. There's so many different people saying do this and do that. Then there's contrasting perspectives and viewpoints.
Yeah.
How do we start?
You start with breathing. Again, I'm sure most of you, probably 90 to 100% of you in this room, spend a lot of time away from home. To center yourself or to reset your body, even outside of, you having slept whatever sleep you're able to get, make a conscious effort to sit somewhere and just practice breathing deeply. Breathe as deeply as you can. Expand your lungs as full as it will go and exhale just as deeply. Do that for about 9 times. And if you can do it at the top of the morning, that would be the most ideal because you want to reset yourself and set your intentions for the day at that time. But even in the middle of the day, if you find yourself, in a situation where you're in distress for some reason or another, things are not really going quite well, or, you're just having a few hiccups, take a few moments, go in a corner, reset yourself by doing a few rounds of deep breathing. Things get so much easier after that. You'll feel yourself kind of lift, and then you'll settle back into yourself, and you realize it's not as bad as you think. So that's one way. And then obviously pair that with feeding your body really good things and making sure that your cells are really hydrated. And when you are able to get rest, rest. And if you have the capacity to create or to design your life, I actually appreciated that from the last talk. Create a life where you have work hours, and I had to do this as an entrepreneur because your phone will ring at all hours and your emails are going off all the time, but you set your hours for work and then you set your hours for rest and make it a deliberate thing. When you're able to do that, that will, increase your lifespan, honestly, at least 15 years. Just those small things.
Like, we used to make it a game. Every time I traveled, the first person who found the juice bar got their juice for free. Everybody else had to buy. Like, you know what I mean? It was like a morning hunt. So we were in Poland one time looking for juice bars. We, all over the place. But it's trying to figure out a life of balance because we're so all over the place. For me, like, diet is important, but food makes me happy. So there's parts of it where it's like, that might not be good for me, but I got to figure out a way to balance that because that shit does make me happy, and I want to continue to do that. So whether it's working out, whether it's eating healthier.
Yes.
Like, my joke is I'm part-time vegan. So from when I go to sleep until, like, my second meal of the day, I'm vegan. So I'll juice in the mornings. Yeah. Obviously, I don't eat while I'm asleep, so that's 6 hours or so I'm vegan. And then
He said 6 hours on vegan.
Well, yeah, and in the morning I'll juice, and then lunch I'll probably, juice again. But then by dinner time, I balance it out. I may have a salad, or I may eat whatever I want to eat. But again, overall wellness is being aware, right?
Yeah.
Kind of, obviously, if you have other health issues or diseases, you have to look into it a lot deeper than that, and be a little bit more restrictive. But I think, for the most part, all of us just got to be conscious and live a more balanced life.
And make sure you have some type of gratitude practice. Like I said, man, every day is a gift. And I can't unpack this any more than every single day is a gift. And so sometimes it's a challenge to find things to be grateful for because we got so lost in the world trying to create and produce for other people. At the end of the day, you got to find 5 things at least every single morning. I write down 5 things I'm grateful for. Every single morning, without doubt, 5 things. Sometimes they're the same things, sometimes they're different, but 5 things that I'm grateful for. And that sets as an anchor for my day. Like, if my day begins to get out of whack and shit starts to swirl, I'm like, oh, but I'm good. I got moms. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. And so I think that's something that resets you every single day, is having that point in the morning when you wake up, write down 5 things you're grateful for. I mean, Julia Cameron had this book she wrote called The Artist's Way. that I picked up, I want to say like 4 years ago with my ex when we was in New York. And we started doing the practices as a couple. And I was like, this is cool, I guess. Waking up and just dumping 2 minutes of thought, well, no, 2 pages of thought just down in a journal. But at that time, I was like, nah, I'm not doing this shit. I'm not doing that. I'm a grown man. I'm not going to wake up and journal. What does that even look like? What does that feel like? But when I started doing it, I realized that it was a release. I would carry my journal to the next thing. I'm like, yeah, got my journal with me. And then it became something that we often look at things in 2 boxes, you know, that's feminine, that's masculine. At the end of the day, we want to be a sacred marriage. We want to marry everything. And I always believe that the energy you carry is the energy you marry. So if you out here looking for, you know, happiness and you're carrying all this bullshit with you, you're never going to attract that. And so for me, I think just setting that anchor point in the morning always reminds me that I'm good. Like I'm okay. I got a day. I got my fingers. Sometimes I'm just grateful for these fingers, for my toes. You know, these are things that we can find gratitude for that reminds us of how really big life is and how small we are in it. But how connected we all are. We all got fingers and toes. We all got a nose right now. We all got hair, well, some of us. And it's like, that's all good. That's a good thing to connect with. I'm like, man, I love you, man. You got fingers like me. That's how it should be. And I want that to always be an anchor for me throughout my day. Because when I see someone who's going through a hard time, that offer compassion. I'm like, okay, what did he do today? What did he write down today? What did he write down this morning as his gratitude? Maybe he didn't. That's why he feels that way. You know, so I think gratitude is something that we often think is like this mysterious energy out there in the world. No, it's something that we can actually hold on to every single day. And if you do that, I'm telling you, man, you will have the best day ever. Every day. It'll be just a breeze. You'll be like, this is easy. But it will get hard. But like you said, we got a toolkit now. We got breathing.
Well,
We got
something to
energetics,
add to
you
that,
know?
too. Can I add one other
Oh,
thing?
please, go ahead.
So I think, yes, being grateful is really important, but also being kind is equally as important. So set your intention in the morning, be grateful. Gratitude is just not something that I cannot not do. But I also realized that, you know, New York makes people abrasive, and I was no exception to the rule. I mean, and people who know me very well just think I am downright mean to this day. But I'm not. I just,
Really?
like most, yeah. But most New Yorkers, we just don't have time for fluff. It's just get to it and let me get out and let me do what I have to do, you know. But what I realized is that, so I realized that I was a little bit abrasive to some because I actually think I'm a darling. I don't think I'm mean at all. But I realized that people started to mirror that. And I didn't like it because it wasn't really what I am. And I didn't want to project that as a part of who I was. And I certainly didn't want to make anybody feel a way that would make them respond to me in the way that was offensive to me. So I just practice being kind, and people mirror that, and it feeds your vibration, and it just makes you vibrate higher, and then you're just kinder to people, and then you just attract all these beautiful, trusting people, you know, because people want to be made to feel good, and you make them feel good, and they start to open up, and they start to trust you. And to validate this mirror of kindness that was very deliberate for me to practice, I saw the Mr. Rogers movie.
Oh, his documentary?
Oh my God. He's like the closest thing to Jesus Christ that was like, no, honestly, I was looking for like, come on, like you can't, honestly, you really like that good? Like that's impossible. You're not really like that nice all the time. That's not humanly possible. And even his son said it. It was rough, you know, having a dad that was literally Jesus Christ for real. So with that being said, but you know, he had the most beautiful life. It was simple. He made people feel amazing with just his simple way of just wanting to be kind to people and making them feel love. And they responded to him with all this love and adoration, and I'm no exception. I was in the theater crying my eyes out because I could not believe that someone was so good. So in all of that, what I want to say is be grateful and be kind. That's it. That's all.
And I think sometimes on this journey, we feel like we're alone. We isolate ourselves in our emotions, in our feelings, and we feel like, especially in hip hop and this bravado machismo space, like, you know, if we feel down, how do we express that to our friends? If we need support, how do we express that to our crew? I think it was Guru was talking about his support system with his people, how they check in on each other. I think other people on the stage, I think Lord Finesse said something about, you know, once you understand yourself, you can start to help other people and know what your true value is. What support system do you guys use? Do you have other people that check on you, that you guys check on a regular? How did you start that? And I think also just from what I always see here, like, this is perfect. I hope everybody here stays in touch and does that for each other, because I mean, we all need this, right? That positive reinforcement and seeing positive examples of other people, especially that we can relate to, like, makes us feel motivated and helps us get past and through a lot of the things that we'll usually isolate ourselves with. So who's your support system?
I mean, you know, I think we all come from communities. We all exist in communities. There's a community of organs inside of us that's making all this function and work right. You know, it's being around people is necessary for us to flourish in life. You know, we need each other more so than we think. And sharing is what I've often found provides a space for us to actually get real with one another. You know, I took a course called Landmark Forum, and it's all about sharing. You only want to share shit. You're like, I'm not sharing that. But she makes you share. You stand up there, you're like, well, my dad, when I was 6, you know, and it's like, you know, you're sharing. And the next thing you know, you leave that stage, you're like, yo, I feel so much better. I feel so much better. And so how often have you had that feeling, that gut feeling, like I should say something, but you held it in because you felt like, I'm going to be judged. No one cares. No one really cares. I mean, I feel like we're always scared of the person in front of us, like they really care. They're concerned about how they look to us. We're all concerned about it. And so we're not really in the space of like, oh, he cared. No, we're just caring about this right now. That's how we usually reflect. And so I think connection is such it's an establishment point for like real joy around other humans. Like, we exist as a human community. We came in this whole thing together. And then we went off in our separate ways, and people lived there and people moved there, and now you look like that and I look like this. And at the end of the day, we all come from one seed, we're all the same thing. And so finding people that you like-minded people, like, this is gorgeous. This is amazing. Like, Jazy, I mean, you really put it together. Like, this is nice. For me, at least, because I'm a wellness professional and I'm not a musician. You know, like, I don't do that. But I'm human. And when you human, and you might do some things better than me, I might do some things better than you, but we here together and we sharing the space. And so that's nice connection points for me. And that provides for such joy of just being a human being, man. And, like, that's something that we have to be excited about and ignited about every single day, is being human. You know, I think we often turn into these robots given the craft that we get into. But you're not a robot. So you do have to rest. You do have to turn the light off. You got to unplug. And this is that unplug. This is a beautiful way of unplugging, is sharing the shit, as I call it. We all have an invisible backpack of shit that we carry around in our lives. And if you don't share it, how will you ever unpack it and get rid of things? And put better things in if you want to carry a backpack at all.
I mean, those backpacks get heavy too.
Yeah,
You know?
they
We
do.
carry
Good
around that
gracious.
emotional stress. I had like herniated disc, bulging disc, all kinds of stuff, and a lot of it was from emotional distress. Like, it was just pain that I would put onto my back. Like, so literally that emotional backpack carrying around, like, tore my back up. So the inversion stuff you talk about, my doctor has I think it's a DRX, the
Yeah,
DRX
machine.
machine, where you actually are inverted about 20 degrees, and it pulls your body apart from your top and your bottom by half your body weight. And I'm on that for like 28 minutes. And that's done a lot, but it's mentally almost, it helped with breathing. It's helped with just focus and kind of like centering, right? So yeah, what's your support system? How?
Oh, well, my support system just I will say this. My support system starts with my spirituality. I honestly, you know, I believe in spirituality and however you practice it. My practice is very important to me, and because of it, the support system that I have shows up for me the way that I needed to show up for me every time I needed to show up. So I guess, you know, I just allow my connection to source energy to help me cultivate the community that will support me, and one that I can also, you know, comfortably support as well. An example of that was, I lost my father last year, and I didn't come from a really big family, but I did come from a two-parent household. My parents didn't divorce until much later, but at his passing and at his funeral, I lost my sister a year before that, and my brother and I have two separate moms, so we shared a father, but we had different mothers. But long and short, at the funeral, I had no family other than my brother there. And there were moments, but I do have a very large family on my mother's side, and we're very close. So that hurt, but the church was 75% filled with the community of people that I had cultivated in my in my life in New York. There were childhood friends there, their families were there. My friends that I've, kind of gathered along my journey in life at this point filled the church almost to capacity. And then the 25% of the other folks that were there were his distant relatives and his friends. So I say that to say, for me, the universe has just, or my source, the source that I work with, has just allowed people to show up for me when I needed them to. So I don't think I cultivated a community. I just practice being a good person, and I practice being grateful, and I do these meditations all the time. I'm always in some sort of prayer-like state. So I think that that's my support, and it works for me.
I mean, positive energy begets positive energy.
Doesn't it?
I mean, what's the saying? Where focus goes, energy flows, right? So if you're constantly focusing on negative, that's what you're gonna get. Let's talk about, you guys got any resources we can share with these great folks? Like, how do we keep them on the energy God methods?
Well, I teach a method. I teach a class pretty much around the world, I guess. I have a website, thejacymethod.com, and you can find things and look at things and see exactly where I'm gonna be. But I mean, a lot of the resources are out here already. You are the resource. You have everything that you need inside of you. You just got to pull it out and find interesting ways of doing it. I think that's what makes life a creative process. So you already are the resource. You got all the tools. You just got to sort through all the extra bullshit, get that out the way, open up space for light to come in and shine upon the tools you already have, and then pull them out and use them. And once you start doing that over time, you got it.
So if I'm hearing this right, y'all got the rest of today and tomorrow to grab him for a few minutes and ask him how, y'all can incorporate some of his movement into your daily activities.
Please grab me. And I mean, I got a lot of good shit, man. Grab me, and I'm gonna just throw it at you, please.
What about you, Michelle? Oh, just kind of resources and things you can kind of leave people with to.
Well, I do. I'm a holistic nutritionist, health coaching, and all of that stuff. But I'm also a little bit more than that. But in terms of my community share, I do lead 3 meditation practices 3 times a week in the city. There's one in Brooklyn, there's one in Harlem, and then there's one at our workspace in Gramercy, all of which can be found on my website, theorangemoon.com. You can register for one of those if you're in the city. It's a really beautiful experience. I mean, I use traditional meditation techniques, but I also allow the soul to just kind of take people where the soul wants to take it without inhibiting it through chants and mantras and practices, which is beautiful, but that's not what my practice is with the people that I work with has been. And it's just amazing, and it's so beautiful, and it's growing. And also, for moments when I have a really difficult time in the morning, kind of like, just getting myself and putting myself in a positive mind state before I go to my altar and do my meditation and gratitude, I'll listen to someone like Abraham Hicks or Wayne Dyer or, someone that's going to help me bring my vibration up, because I know, the day is going to kind of bump me around a little bit. So if those are really good tools to help me stay positive. Again, there are a couple of motivational people that you can find on Instagram. I mean, not on Instagram, on YouTube, but I really, really resonate with the teachings of Wayne Dyer and Abraham Hicks, but there are loads. So just go to
tons.
YouTube and...
I mean, even I'll chime in. kind of have taken a lot of philosophy of thought from Tony Robbins, of course, and also from E.T., Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher.
I
I've
thought you meant
attended
E.T. the extraterrestrial.
a lot of his sessions and have sat down with him and discussed kind of these things. And it motivated me to want to put my stuff out there in the same fashion. So Alan Watts is a great source of, I guess, vibrancy if you want to meditate. His voice is just beautiful, and you just want to hear it. You're like, okay, tell us, Alan. Tell us what we're going to do today. And also, there's a book that I just bought called Polishing the Mirror by Baba Ram Dass. And Ram Dass is actually one of my mentors. And it is the book that has shined the most light on the dark spots in my life. So, yeah.
Good stuff.
Polishing the Mirror. You're welcome.
Start with some questions.
Hey. I just wanted to say thank you all for coming and
Can
even.
you stand up, please?
Okay. Hey, y'all.
We can see you. We got to see you.
For coming and even, talking to us about this. This has been like an ongoing battle between me and my mom, who my mom's a singer as well, but she, later on became an aromatherapist and a healer, all this, other stuff. She just mad deep. And, being in the music industry, there is a pressure to like constantly produce this theory of sleep when you die. Enough is never enough. You always have to do more than the next person for your whole life long. And if you don't, then you're slipping, you know what I mean? And it's like nothing put on the human who actually has to produce all of this, right? I think I'm just kind of coming into valuing the vessel that has to do the work to and taking care of the vessel. I mean, for years, my mom would be like, "Are you sleeping? Did you eat today?" I'm like, "Mom, no, I got to finish this record. I don't have to sleep or eat. I have to finish this record, And it's like one tour after another tour after another tour after another record. And it's like you put everything into it feeling like this is going to be the moment. And if it's not what you expected, then you go do the whole process again. And you still don't eat and you don't sleep and you don't, take care of yourself. And I'll say, it's funny because I was listening to Abraham Hicks as well. And she was talking about as humans, we spend so much time doing the outer work, the like, walking around, what I can physically make happen with my mind or my body or with having a conversation, being in the right place at the right time and organizing, whatever. But we don't take the time for the spiritual aspect, for God to do the work as well, right? Which is kind of sitting still. So it's funny, me and my mom had agreed to do like this prayer practice in the morning. And I've always prayed, I grew up Muslim and everything, but I had never done like every day, this time, we're gonna meditate about these things. And so we started doing this at like on New Year's Eve. And I've seen things open up in my life that no amount of hard work that I've ever done opened up. Like this prayer meditation practice opened up in my life. Like things that I just spoke aloud daily in this meditation started happening within weeks. And I'm like, it was that simple? You know what I'm saying? I've been pounding the pavement, but it really was like a centering, like doing the inner work that created what was happening on the outside. And I started seeing everything so different. Like this reality is not stagnant, it's fluid, and it's constantly being created by these thoughts and, and by the practice, right? So, so we're doing, she got mad at me and didn't meditate with me no more. But I was like, all right, well, I'm still going to keep meditating. And so I'm doing this practice all the time. And even like recently, I did this this performance on Tiny Desk, and it like exploded. It was like this big viral thing. And I was like, oh shit, that's what viral feel like? Okay, that's kind of crazy. And so now I'm getting like, 100,000 new people following me and thousands of people like DMing me every day. And I was like, wow, I appreciate it, but it was also a lot. I kind of wasn't used to like that happening. 1,000 people like commenting on which way my fro was leaning. And so I took a trip to LA. It was like, I'm just going to the mountains. I'm about to just go sit in the mountains and meditate. And some of, the people in my circle were kind of like, this is not the time to take your foot off the gas and you need to put out a record right now, da-da-da-da. And I was like, no, because I saw God do something for me that I didn't do. I was just centered and God did it. So I see that God's more powerful than me. You know what I'm saying? And even my whole process for writing now, I'll sit and meditate now before I write and ask to be delivered for what I'm supposed to say to come through me, as opposed to me trying to force something or like, let me write the flyest shit ever. You know what I mean? It's more so like, all right, what am I supposed to be used for? It's a totally different process. And it's like, I mean, I still kind of battle with some of the voices in my head for so long. It's been saying, you need to do this, you need to be doing that. It's like forcing an issue as opposed to letting the flow happen. But the flow feels so much better than trying to force something. And so now it's like that self-care and that self-time. Like now I'm starting to hear all the shit my mom used to say, like, take care of you too, though. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's work too. You sleeping is also you part of the process. It's part of the hard work. That's part of what's gonna make you great in the end. Like, why don't you be there for when you know, when your blessing come? Why don't you be around for your blessing? Right. You know, so I just want to tell y'all thank you, because I never hear these conversations in creative circles at all. The narrative is work till you die. You know what I mean? And a lot of us on tour are super unhealthy, emotionally, you know, depressed. And people just say, just deal with it. Put, you know, like if you can't deal with it, you a sucker then. You know what I mean? It's like we're forced to like keep pushing, even when we're not happy. And then we're looking like, well, what am I even doing this for? Because at the end of the day, I don't even want the shit that I'm getting. Like you can't even, when you get what you even work for, it don't even feel like nothing. You get what I'm saying? It's like you've been accomplished everything that you set out to accomplish when you was kids, and it feels like nothing. And that's the scariest place to be, but it's like that. I've just seen that spiritual practice be more fulfilling than any award, any audience, anybody saying your record's dope, ever. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you for sharing.
That was long, sorry.
Terry, did you want to say something? All right, we're just going to get Terry real quick.
Hold on, I was gonna say, like in hip hop, I always feel like you were saying, we're always told when we ask advice from our people, keep your head down, keep pushing. But if you're feeling depressed, you're feeling anxiety, you're feeling anything else, that's actually the exact opposite of what you should be hearing. It should be, you know, keep your head up. Like, things are okay, you're fine. We all go through stuff. What are you going through? But us being the driving force of popular culture, it's also weird and interesting that we don't have a lot of voices that are inspirational on that side. We can shift the conversation and change the narrative around this topic, around mental health and around self-awareness and around just being mindful of life and how we live and what we put into our bodies and how we live our life and loving kindness and all of these other things, and it be okay. Like, be positive, not, oh, you're a sucker for feeling like that, or you're a sucker for acting that way, or that's soft, or that's this or that, when actually that's as real as we can be. Like, that's the most honest as we can be with ourselves, is to be that. So we should change it as hip hop.
I had questions, kind of two parts. One was, to piggyback off what Mamuna said, is you're always pressed in this industry, like you guys said, to keep pushing, keep grinding, don't stop. Eric Thomas, I got in my studio as soon as you walk in. If you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And at this point, I find that so not true.
I agree.
To what, you know what I mean, to what's going on. So the second part of my question is about eating right, living healthier on the road. You've told so much bullshit. Yo, do this, eat that. And then every time you feel like all right, I'm gonna do this. No, you can't do that because this would happen. That will happen. And so last week, somebody was like, oh man, try the keto diet. It's amazing. And then I get online and hear everybody contradicting why not to do it. And then people say, well, eat meat. Well, you can't eat meat. Or eat vegetables. Well, if you eat vegetables, it's a pesticide. It's like, what the fuck, man? So my question, I guess, is that I respect you guys being here and will more so, I guess, form a better thought that would fit for me coming from my peers, because the people that I'm getting that advice from is really not my peers. They don't do what we do. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to figure out how to, or if you could give me advice on how to manage this situation better, and really what's good for you and what's not in terms of diet.
Well, one, don't listen to the internet. Like the
Please
internet
don't.
is filled with everybody's just gonna be negative, man. Like you get more action, you get more light on yourself if you're doing negative stuff. So you're always gonna see contradictory. My thing is balance, man. Because again, we're all different, we're all human beings, but it's finding balance in your lifestyle and understanding and being honest with yourself and what you're doing. And it's hard, like especially when you're traveling, you're working late nights. You come out at 3 in the morning from working. There's not a lot of food options. You got Wawa if you're over here, or 7-Eleven, or you got this, and what do they have in there? Milkshake machines, and this coffee, and this ice cream, and that, and they got a green-ass banana that you would never touch. Like, and that's your healthy option. And so planning, like how do you plan? You know you're gonna be on the road. How do I figure this out? And it takes structure, and it takes dedication, and it takes the desire to want to be healthy. Like we all want to live, but sometimes it's embarrassing though to tell your people like, oh, I'm trying to eat healthy when they're all eating McDonald's and some other shit.
You get used to it.
Like I said, I love journaling nowadays. At 30, I think journaling is one of my favorite things to do. It's kind of like me writing a song to myself, basically. And I used to write down everything that I ate and how I felt after I ate it. So if I, ate a Snickers bar, I wrote down how I felt afterward. And usually it was like I felt shameful. I'm like, why'd I eat the goddamn Snickers bar? What did I need that for? And so I used to repeat that negative chatter often in my mind. So what you need to do is empty that every single day. Get that negative chatter out, and also provide a little space inside for a little bit of happy. I think happy is healthy. And so if you are accepting the choices you make and you're happy with that, that's fine. You're a healthy individual. You happy. You happy. Because if you emotionally are okay, you good. But at the same time, give yourself room to make decisions that are okay. Sometimes you're on the road, you might want a little cheeseburger. Get the cheeseburger, man. That's balance right there. Because when you dive deep into trying to do everything right, you'll figure out everything is not right. You know what I'm saying? It's really not, And so I think don't even put it in categories of right or wrong. Just put it in categories of how you want to feel. If you want to feel shitty after you eat something, go ahead and add a cheeseburger in the Snickers bar. Go ahead. But if you want to feel good, if you want to feel healthy, if you want to feel vibrant, you know what to do. That's the thing. I think we all kind of know the foundation of what we want to feel like. But we still do bullshit because it's comfortable, it's convenient. So sometimes we gotta get uncomfortable. And that is the challenge. That is the eating the shit that you hate. You're like, I hate these greens, but let me go ahead and kill this. Sometimes you gotta do that. I did that all through college and high school. My mom used to feed me nothing but greens. I was like, Mom, really? Another green smoothie for breakfast and lunch? This is not what I wanna eat. But it gave me a foundation that now I live from. That I know, because I indulge too. I do a lot of things that artists and musicians do. At the end of the day, I'm not this identity. I am an artist. I'm a human. And so I might drink every now and then. All these things are okay to me. I accept that. They're choices that I make that I accept. That's really what it's about. If you want to make the choice, you have to know how you're going to feel after that choice. So if you eat the Snickers and you know every time you eat a Snickers you feel shameful, that's a pattern you got to fucking cut,
I do think that being mindful of the food and the energies around how the food is created and how you feel after it is important. But if you're really just looking for like a tool, if this is a part of your question, lay off the alcohol, especially when you're on the road, and just drink a shitload of water and 8 to 12 ounces of coconut water every day. That's a good starting point to actually try to keep your cells moist.
But we want to turn up, though. We just did a show. We want to turn up. We want to have fun.
If you want to turn up and have fun, limit the turn up, especially if you're over 40. Limit the turn up, and after every glass of alcohol you have, drink 2 glasses of water and at least 4 ounces of coconut water for 1 glass if you have time, but certainly 2 glasses of water. That's a good starting point. Another great point for people who don't have the opportunity to food prep and plan is to try and eat like a mostly vegetarian-based diet. Doesn't mean that you have to cut out meat. I'm not suggesting that for anybody at this point, but that's a good way to maintain your health while you're on the road. Sometimes you'll have the Snicker bar, sometimes you'll have the burger, that's fine, but at least if you try to commit to doing those things, at least that's a good starting point. And then, you'll feel better and you'll start to build from there.